All right, welcome to another installment of Do You Know This Move? And I think the variation in this little mini lesson it shouldn't be called Do You Know This Move? It's probably Do You Know This Variation? Because let's be reasonable, there's several new moves within this one variation. And furthermore, the old variation that I'm comparing it to, a lot of you probably don't know either. So this is probably, it shouldn't be titled Do You Know This Move? It's Do You Know These Variations Across Time and Space? Anyway, semantics aside, let me show you what I want to teach you today. Let's say black has a corner, and you approach, and black kicks you, and then goes along his merry way and goes and does something else. Like, have you ever had this happen to you? Well, there's a couple ways for white to get a good result here. And the traditional one that, I don't even know if tradition is not the right word, but let's say one of the most common bookish ones is for white to follow it up by attaching here, and then crawling, and then sacrifice, get all the free stuff, free Atari, threaten to Atari, actually Atari, make shape on the outside. This is quite a nice result for white. This is, white has a lot of thickness, total control of this center area, left side, right, top side. White's totally in control. This black group is worth close to about 13 points, though, of territory. I want you to keep that in mind. 12.5, 13 points, sort of depending on who gets this end game, of course. But this is a pretty good result for white nonetheless, even though black gets, let's say, a 12 to 13 point corner. So that's a pretty traditional one. Again, if you've never seen it before, this is sort of what I'm going to call the old variation today. If you can get to this part, the rest you can kind of read out. But it is this crawl and then cut and then take all the free stuff kind of variation. Okay, so the new move that I want to show you, or really ask you today, is do you know this move after this attachment? And, oh, actually, let me rewind. There's other, okay. There's also this move. I want you to just be aware of. White can change direction, try to undercut. Black will usually do something like this, or maybe even something like this, just to try to solidify the corner as quickly as possible. Or if black can attack the top, this is also a possibility. Something like this, maybe a little bit tighter. And black can give up the left-hand side and attack the top. This is all these are also possible variations, but I'm not that interested in showing you them today. I think the one that I want to show you, again, is this one, which is similar. Notice we're just putting this stone in second. Those other variations I just went over, you start with this stone. But this is a pretty cool variation because I've actually played this move in handicap games before. It's pretty common in lots of Go games against Q players to get kicked when you approach, and then for them to tanuki at an inappropriate time. So I can attach and then do this double Hane business. Okay. Or in this case, I've also been the person with the cornerstoning. It's like a 3-stone handicap, and just see if my opponent knows what to do if I kick and then tanuki. So I've had this played against me as well. So what I would normally think to do here as black is to play this move. This seems the most solid. You're more or less forcing white to connect or do something like connecting, and you can kind of take sente or even maybe make this exchange first to threaten to cut. Pushing and cutting right now doesn't feel great because we don't have any other support, and it feels like white will be able to manage both sides. But leaving that option open for later, maybe we come and take this, making this push cut a little bit more attractive. Or big corner, whatever it is. This is the kind of thing I would expect. And indeed, this is still good for white. I don't want you to think that black got away with murder here, or this is bad. This is still good for white. And in fact, if you remember that 12 to 13 point variation, you can even see that black ends up with almost the same amount. Looks more like 14 points pretty solidly here in this variation. It's going to be a little bit better for black. Plus black, it's a better cut. So yeah, not as good as the other variation, but still respectable. But there's an even better move for black that's worth looking into. And this is, do you know this move? And this one I saw just very recently. And so it kind of blew my mind a little bit, and I want to share it with you guys today. This is the type of move that looks like we're leaving lots of weaknesses. And indeed we are. And keep in mind, white is still going to get a good result here, right? Black's still Tanuki too early. White is still going to get, you know, a good solid outside. So keep that in mind. Okay, good. I'm still recording. Had a scare for a second. The obvious weaknesses that we want to take advantage of aren't the best next moves. There's a weakness here, and there's a weakness here. And to show you how each of them work, like white still gets an okay result in both of them, but it's not the best. If we play this way, white can just take the outside thickness very directly, but black comes away with sente, and you know, we have some cuts that we need to manage or worry about, some defects. Really just one big defect and a minor one. But still, they're there. So we don't really want to do that one. This one's a little bit more interesting. This one's going to end up in a giant exchange. Still not the best, because you're going to see what black can get away with here. We're going to play this type of thing. White will come back and capture this stone in the corner. Notice right now the corner is not alive yet. It actually is a ko. But that's probably never going to happen because white needs to come back and take this. And now, I don't know what the proper move is here. Maybe here? I don't know. Maybe even here. That might be good enough, actually. If we have enough liberties, that is. Which I'm not sure we do. We must. We must, yeah, for sure. I actually don't know what the next best move is for black. But even though white captured a stone, 2 stones at the top effectively, got a very solid live group, black actually gets to you know, get command of the center and or possibly the left as well, and capture 1 or 2 stones too. So this is okay for both. Still not the best sequence. We can do a little bit better. And how we take advantage of these weaknesses are not to play them directly, but instead to play there. Isn't that just the dumbest, wildest thing? Like, there's 2 glaring weaknesses. We're not going to take either one. We're just going to make another weakness. Right? We're just going to expose this weakness in addition to this one and this one. And usually, you know, stones that really only threaten one thing aren't that valuable. It's usually better just to play it directly. But in this case, black has a hard time defending. Just no, like black is kind of scrambling to decide what to defend. And it turns out the best thing for black to do is to capture this stone. But in retaliation, white gets to play here more or less. No, I guess not really for free, but black doesn't really have a good way to deal with this. You might be looking at this and going, wait, this is a good result for black, right? Black captured 2 white stones, and white's only capturing 1 black stone. But you're missing all the fun aji that white will get to have against this stone. Plus, there's more follow-ups for white here in the corner. So here, if we take that away, just to show you an example, let's say black, you know, goes and does something else in some other corner. Moves like this, these are sente. Like, black has to respond to them. Conversely, if there is some sort of big fight in the center, white can actually make a sacrifice and get a whole bunch more forcing stones placed. So you can imagine if black had to invade this top very deeply, white can build a wall real fast, like in a really powerful one. So again, if maybe white plays something like this over here and black wants to pincer, ooh, okay, that could be really dangerous. Meanwhile, taking this stone is also kind of a nuisance for black, right? Because white can actually just take a really big corner, you know, whenever white wants. This can be a little bit tricky to time, and I wouldn't recommend necessarily doing it right away, because there is still some aji here, and more importantly, by forcing black to take this point, we're actually losing some of the aji that we could have had on this stone. So again, timing this is really hard, but you can see that white is very close to getting a 12-point corner, plus all this outside thickness on this wall. Even if white just plays the really, really crude Atari here, which I'd almost never want to do directly unless I had this center shape all read out. This is a lot, right? Big corner, big wall. Black got 2 stones and also a wall, but definitely skewing more in favor of white. So, what does black do here at this point? How does black respond? Well, the first answer is Tanuki, actually. Like, whatever black does here, it's really not going to be good enough to continue. If all the other big points were taken, this is normally going to be the best continuation for black, because it's going to more or less force white to fix this Aji, on your behalf. Although it still leaves this corner very undefined with this co-shape. So it's not entirely clear. So anyway, backing all this up, again, if you have this shape, and we in the last Do You Know This Move video, we looked at this iron pillar shape in this Kosumi kick in a different place on the 4, 3, and 3rd line. On the 4th line, it works a little bit differently. Again, this is the old variation to basically take the outside. But this is the new variation to take the outside. And I just think it's a really cool sequence, especially this diagonal. These robots, these AIs today are finding all these diagonal connections that are a hair better than just connecting solidly, which is pretty amazing, because as a human, my brain looks at this like, I'm thinking there's no way that this shape is better than this shape, right? This just has so fewer weaknesses. But turns out it is, which is the crazy part. So yeah, just to review, again, white should play here, Atari, take, and then temporarily kind of done. So black gets, again, 2 stone capture. Some say about what goes on in the corner. The corner, again, is very undefined for both players. This is the best that both can expect, I think, from this position. So anyway, did you know those moves? If you didn't, well, you learned something, I hope. Give it a try in your games. Again, it may not be that often, depending what skill level you're playing at, where your opponent kicks and then tanukis, or maybe you just want to start kicking and tanukiing at this point, so you can force your opponent into the shape because you now know some basic defenses of what to do about it. But either way, I think this is a pretty cool sequence. And again, one that was never covered or even dreamed of when I was studying Joseki over a decade ago, when I was really trying to memorize lots and lots of Joseki. These moves were just not on the radar on those Joseki books. So I'm really enamored with them right now, and I hope you enjoy joining me along for this journey. Happy going.